Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. If you thought John Harwood was stretching to defend MS-13 amid Trump's characterization of the members of that syndicate, murderous syndicate, Animals, when Harwood, CNBC reporter, said, however repugnant their actions, they're still human beings, essentially. If you thought that was an odd place to draw a line, you haven't heard anything yet. Let me introduce you to the full statement that noted theologian, House Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi, offered on the topic.
But since you brought up the subject of immigration again, it reminds me that, and as I was talking about the religious groups and how they're concerned about feeding the hungry and the Gospel of Matthew and the rest, 41 million people in our country are food insecure. We believe, some of us who are attracted to the political arena, to government and public service, that we're all God's children. There's a spark of divinity in every person on earth, and that we all have to recognize that as we respect the dignity and worth of every person, and as we recognize our responsibilities with that spark of divinity within us. And so when the President of the United States says about undocumented immigrants, these aren't people, these are animals, you have to wonder, does he not believe in the spark of divinity, the dignity and worth of every person? These are not people, these are animals. The President of the United States.
Oh, my goodness.
Sarah Sanders responded about these people that Nancy Pelosi was defending.
I want to ask you, because so many people in the country have been talking about it in the last 24 hours, what did the president mean when he said that some immigrants are not people, they're animals?
The president was very clearly referring to MS-13 gang members who enter the country illegally and whose deportations are hamstrung by our laws. This is one of the most vicious and deadly gangs that operates by the motto of rape, control, and kill. If the media and liberals want to defend MS-13, they're more than welcome to. Frankly, I don't think the term that the president used was strong enough. MS-13 has done heinous acts. It took an animal to stab a man 100 times and decapitate him and rip his heart out. It took an animal to beat a woman they were sex trafficking with a bat 28 times, indenting part of her body. And it took an animal to kidnap, drug, and rape a 14-year-old Houston girl. Frankly, I think that the term animal doesn't go far enough.
Yeah, so those are the individuals to whom Nancy Pelosi is characterizing as
God's children.
full of the spark of divinity. Now, question, of course, for theologian Pelosi would be, do children in the womb, do adults at the end of life in your euthanasia happy state of California, do they have that spark of divinity too? But that's a topic for another day. For more on this and other pressing issues, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Bret Baier, of course, anchor of Fox News' special report and author of the new book. You liked his book about Eisenhower? You're going to like his book about Reagan. 3 Days in Moscow, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of the Soviet Empire. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning. So what about the kind of curious case of taking President Trump to task over referring to one of the most murderous international criminal organizations as animals?
Yeah. You know, there are some moments that are more clear than others in the difference of perception of this president, of this administration, of the efforts to go after him. And this is one of those moments. I mean, if you go back to the tape of the answer to the question where he uses the phrase, it's not even close. I mean, the question deals with MS-13. He's clearly referring to MS-13. And as Sarah mentioned, and there are many, many more examples of MS-13 doing heinous things across the country. Talk to people in Long Island. about this. Talk to people in some of these communities that are just savaged by this gang, and I think it's pretty amazing to listen to that out of context. And it took a day for everyone to finally realize or concede that he was talking about the gang.
Yeah,
but
but
it seems
they're
weird.
they're
The people are-
protecting. But then they're rallying to the defense of MS-13 effectively.
Right, and that is really tone deaf. I mean, do you think that's going to play in the midterms in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania? That people are like, yes, we agree, defend MS-13.
Oh my gosh.
How is that polling?
Yeah,
how's
right.
that polling going to go? So we're learning about an alleged spy inside the Trump campaign. The FBI seems to be spinning this as it was maybe a source or whoever leaked this is going to be, it's putting American safety at risk. But do you have any, with your sources, have any information who this alleged spy might be?
I mean, we have a lot of people floating around there, and I think it'll come out probably in coming days. But nothing locked down yet. I think there's a lot that we don't know on both sides of this investigation. The most interesting thing, I think, will be a definitive, newsworthy event when the IG's report comes out, Michael Horowitz. But how long it's going to take for the DOJ and the FBI to make sure it's not classified is a question.
Well, on this topic, though, I think Andy McCarthy sort of nailed the key point of this Crossfire Hurricane story the New York Times had earlier this week, which is that the Obama administration used its counterintelligence powers to investigate the opposition party's presidential campaign. If this checks out, if this is true, is Trump, I mean, you're a Joe Friday kind of straight down the middle guy, so maybe I'm overreacting. That's why I want to use you as a barometer. But if what the New York Times reported is true, and that lead that they buried, that Andy McCarthy just pointed out, is Trump right when he tweets that this could be bigger than Watergate?
Well, we don't know what we don't know, but it's you would have to have a reason to get that person as an informant in the campaign, right? And there would have to be checks and balances, and a judge or somebody would sign off. Otherwise, you would have to explain why this happened in the middle of a presidential race. What was the reasoning? What was behind it? I think that, there's a lot of intriguing stuff here that I think is going to come out, if I had to guess, in the next couple of weeks.
I'm obsessed with the royal
Oh,
wedding.
my
Oh,
God.
well, come on.
We're talking about the fate
I
of
know.
the representative republic in which we live, and you want to talk about
can't stop
Angela
watching.
Merkel or whoever it is
No,
that's marrying
it's
Prince Harry.
Meghan Merkel,
Oh, yeah, right.
former sorority sister, Kappa Kappa Gamma. Are you going to be watching the royal wedding? And be honest. Please tell me you are. Please tell me.
No,
Ah.
I will not be watching.
Thank you.
What about your
Good.
wife? Is she going to watch?
I'm sure she'll watch something, but I hope she doesn't get up that early.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to wake you up?
No. Actually, I'm on the road for this book tour, so she can get up whenever she wants to. But,
Okay, then let's discuss
All right.
No,
your
I'm
book.
not going to watch it. I'll see a clip or two. How about that?
There you go.
So,
Thank you.
So since you brought up the family, Brett, I know you're an avid golfer. How does your wife, because of the incident with Lucas Glover, so I know you follow PGA, how does your wife treat you when you
If you have a bad show?
have a bad show, or frankly don't play well on the course and embarrass the family?
Not like that, fortunately.
Oh, good.
Holy cow.
Did you hear the 911 tape?
No, I have not. Is it really
Oh,
bad?
you treat yourself to that. It's one of the reasons why Dan Proft is still single.
That's right. But also,
He shows examples of crazy women, and another reason why Dan Proft is single.
but let me also say, if you weren't a Lucas Glover fan before, you're going to be a Lucas Glover fan after you hear that
You are
911
now.
call.
You are now.
One other note about your show that we want, because you had an update this week, and I know our listeners are very interested in hearing about Charles Krauthammer and his medical condition, which I heard the good news that it's improving.
Yes, it is. And his doctors think the worst is behind him. And that's great. He's had a number of surgeries, and he is in recuperation and communicating, and I'm hoping he's going to be back in full force sometime soon.
And where are you right now for your book tour?
I'm down in Florida. I'm in Naples, but I'm heading over to the Villages, America's friendliest hometown, and then Vero Beach, and then I'm going out west to the Lincoln Library and other places.
While you're in Naples, I recommend Burnt, Rocky Patel Cigar Lounge. You should check it out.
Fantastic place. I like Rocky, too.
There you go. All right. He is Bret Baier, anchor of Special Report, weekdays, 5 p.m. Chicago time, and author of the new book, which he's touring to promote, 3 Days in Moscow, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of the Soviet Empire. Bret, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.